Some yokai whisper, others wait in silence. But some do not speak at all, they only consume. If you've ever walked alone after midnight and felt something behind you, just out of step, just out of reach, this is not the story to comfort you. It is one to remember. There are yokai that rattle not with breath or purpose, but with the dry clicking of bone. They do not groan, howl, or roar. They move through shadows of the forgotten, rising only where morning has failed, and memory is buried too shallow. This is the story of a rebel daughter, a forbidden ritual, and a giant skeleton made from the grief no one dared honor. It begins in the ruin of a rebellion, in a shattered stronghold where history tried to erase a name. But memory and vengeance have longer lifespans than any scroll. We do not begin with Gashadokuro, we begin with Takiyasha. Taira no Masakado was more than a man. In his lifetime, he was samurai, rebel, and would-be emperor. In death, he became a threat the court could not kill, a name they feared long after his body was gone. In the mid-10th century, Masakado defied the imperial government, carving out a domain and daring to crown himself ruler of a new eastern kingdom. His rebellion was crushed, his head was sent to the capital, but his spirit didn't stay buried. His daughter, Takiyasha Hime, remained behind. Some said she was little more than myth, a footnote in a traitor's tale. Others claimed she wielded secrets darker than her father's war, the ancient magic of Onmyodo, rituals rooted in balance and chaos. Takiyasha did not inherit an army, she inherited ruins. Alone in the crumbling estate of the Taira, she watched her family name fade. The men who died for her father lay scattered, denied burial rites, branded rebels by history's pen. No shrines, no prayers, no honor. But Takiyasha still had power. She gathered the bones of the forgotten, each rib, each knuckle, each shattered skull, fragments of loyalty unrecognized, and with them she performed a rite that was never meant to be witnessed. It was not resurrection, it was creation. She did not summon her father, she summoned a new shape, one enormous, hollow, and bound together by grief. When the ritual was complete, nothing in the ruins remained but dust, silence, and a figure too tall to belong to any man. Takiyasha Hime disappeared from the scrolls soon after. Her ritual worked, but history did not make space for her story. What endured was the thing she left behind. Gashadokuro, a name stitched together from two sounds, gasha, the clatter of bone on bone, and dokuro, meaning skull. It does not speak, it does not run. It rises only where the bones of the forgotten have stacked deep enough to echo. Gashadokuro did not remain in the ruins. It moved toward Kyoto, the seat of the imperial court that had condemned her father. The giant skeleton ravaged the city, striking fear into the capital. It was not a monster of chaos, it was a message. But vengeance is rarely clean. The destruction ceased only when Masakado's severed head, once displayed in the capital, was moved to Shibasaki, a quiet fishing village that would one day become Tokyo. There his remains were enshrined. The rage was spent, the yokai vanished. Takiyasha's revenge had landed, but it did not restore her father's honor. It did not rewrite the scrolls. It did not change the way history remembered her. She gave up everything: her name, her family, her place in the world. But what she summoned outlived her. Not as a monument, not as a curse, as a yokai that proves one truth: some grief refuses to stay buried. Gashadokuro is not the only skeletal yokai in folklore, but it is the only one that grows from silence. Unlike cursed souls that cry out for justice, Gashadokuro does not speak. It is the shape that mourning takes when forgotten. 10 meters tall, hollow-eyed and hunger-bound, built from bones that were never honored and rage that was never named. It does not hunt in packs. It does not claim villages. It waits. Only after midnight, when the air turns sharp and the road grows still, does it rise. You do not see it first, you hear it. A dry rattle. Not footsteps, not breath, just the faint clicking of its jaw before the rest of it appears. Travelers who met Gashadokuro did not survive to tell the full shape. What they described before vanishing: something massive, pale and silent. A hand the size of a cartwheel, a grip that could silence a scream before it began. No talisman can pierce it. No sword can split it. Prayers have no edge strong enough. Its only weakness is the morning. When light returns, the monster fades. But even then it is not gone. It is simply waiting again. Some say the yokai is eternal, reforming anywhere enough bones are left beneath the soil without remembrance, that it does not move by choice but by need. That wherever injustice stacks, the weight tips into form. There are temples in Japan that still honor the bones of rebellion, built centuries later as offerings to keep Gashadokuro from returning. Not out of guilt, not out of fear, but out of memory. Because if the dead are not named, their silence grows loud, and Gashadokuro is the sound of what follows. Gashadokuro was never meant to stay in one form. First summoned through ancient ritual, then redrawn on ukiyo-e prints, then whispered into kabuki plays and ghost stories. It passed from rebellion to legend, and from legend into art. During the Edo period, Takiyasha Hime began to shift. No longer just a sorceress of vengeance, she became a tragic figure. Kabuki actors portrayed her not as villain, but as a daughter mourning a father erased from history. The ukiyo-e master, Utagawa Kuniyoshi, captured her moment of power, a lone woman raising her arm before a crumbling castle wall, and behind her a giant skeleton clawing into view. The print did not show violence. It showed a boundary crossing from memory into myth. As time passed, Gashadokuro grew in interpretation. Some scrolls described it as a warning yokai, not evil but necessary, reminding villagers of spiritual neglect. Others turned it into a creature of retribution, a symbol that some wounds do not close with silence. In modern media, Gashadokuro found new flesh, or rather new bone. Anime series like Gegege no Kitaro and Nurarihyon no Mago placed it among yokai societies, not solitary, but systemic, shaped by mythic laws and ancient alliances. It became less ghost, more guardian. Video games turned Gashadokuro into raw encounter. In Neo, it rises as a boss fight, drenched in cursed fog. In Ghostwire Tokyo, it looms in the skyline, spectral, massive, disjointed, a visual echo of forgotten violence. Even in Dark Souls, though unnamed, skeletal giants carry its silhouette. Beyond fiction, Gashadokuro became metaphor. Online folklore recasts it as a symbol of denied history, a reminder that mass tragedies, if unnamed, do not stay buried. Its form surfaces in memes, in horror retellings, in the blurred corners of urban myth, but its origin never changes. It began with a daughter, a pile of bones, and a refusal to let silence win. Takiyasha's name was never carved into monuments. Her ritual was never canonized. Her vengeance was never glorified. But something of her remained. Gashadokuro did not die. It faded. It waited. It reformed not by will, but by absence. No shrine, no mourning, no memory, just bones, silence, and the shape silence took when it grew too large. Some yokai slip between walls, some lurk behind paper, but Gashadokuro comes only when the silence stretches past midnight and memory fails. What started with a daughter in ruins became a legend born from every war where the dead lay unremembered. It is not a monster of rage, it is a monument to grief denied. And still, even now, no bones stay buried. If this story unearthed something, you know the ritual. Like, share, and subscribe to help us trace the path of the unseen. Comment below, what other yokai should we summon next? For behind-the-scenes lore and early access scripts, join us on Patreon. The Torchbearer tier helps us shine light on the forgotten and feed what waits in shadow. Curious to build your own mythic collection? Check out our affiliate book links, hand-picked titles to stock your shelves with yokai guides, ritual texts, and cultural deep dives. Want to help grow our library? Visit the Myth Merchant Book Registry. Every donation expands the archive we draw from, ensuring these stories never fade from reach. Every whisper feeds the archive, every offering keeps the myth alive. And somewhere out there, it still waits, silent, tall, hungry.